The stranger pressed a tiny flash drive into my palm at my wife's baby shower and whispered, "She's not who you think." Then he vanished into a sea of pastel balloons and cupcakes. My heart punched at my ribs. I looked across the room at my wife, Emily, glowing in a lavender dress, accepting gifts shaped like teddy bears. We were supposed to be celebrating. Instead, I felt like I'd been handed a detonator. Subscribe and tell me in the comments what you would do if you were in my shoes. I slid the drive into my pocket and smiled through my cheeks hurting, telling everyone I needed fresh air. Outside, the January sun was weak and cold. I told myself it was a prank. Or some jealous ex of hers. We'd been married only a year. I'm a site safety manager for a construction firm. I believe in checklists and facts. So I made myself a rule: don't accuse, verify. When the last guest left, Emily waddled to the couch with her swollen feet and fell asleep, hand on her belly. I kissed her forehead and tiptoed to my office. The moment I plugged in the drive, a single folder popped up, for Liam. My name. Inside were 3 video files and a PDF named Insurance. My mouth went dry. The first video thumbnail looked like a hotel hallway camera. As the progress bar crawled, I heard the muffled ding of an elevator and the click of heels. A woman in white stepped out, face turned away, a tattoo on her shoulder blade peeking under a shawl, an iris flower, just like Emily's. The timestamp froze my blood, 2 weeks before our wedding. And then a man walked into frame, held out his hand, and said, "After tonight, no more secrets." I knew that voice. It was my boss. Cliffhanger. I hit pause, staring at the screen, because a familiar gold ring flashed on his finger, our company signet, right as he guided her into the room and shut the door behind them. I replayed the beginning, hoping I'd misheard. The audio was low, but the arrogance was clear. That ring wasn't just any ring. Our CEO, Marcus Hale, gives them to senior staff at the annual gala. You don't buy it, he hands it to you like a coronation. I remember shaking his hand when I got mine, his grin sharp as a paper cut. In the video, the man wore the exact same ring. Maybe it was someone else. I told myself that while my hands trembled over the keyboard. I googled the hotel from the carpet pattern in the frame. Yeah, I'm that guy who notices exit sign placements and alarm pull stations. I matched the pattern to the Blue Fern downtown, a boutique place near the river. The timestamp matched the night Emily said her bridesmaids kidnapped her for a spa evening. I never asked for receipts. I trusted her. That trust suddenly felt like an unlocked door. I opened the second file. It was silent phone footage of a suite, camera low on a credenza. You could see a corner of the bed, a bottle of Pinot, and a woman's laugh. Emily's laugh is distinctive, a soft inhale that snags at the end. The man's voice slid in, "We're almost done, Em. After the vows, we go quiet. You get what you want, I get what I want," she murmured. "Are you sure it won't show?" He said, "It never does." The video cut off. The third clip was just the hallway again. Later. She left alone, hair mussed, shawl gone. I sat there until the screen dimmed. The PDF wouldn't open without a password. I tried birthdays, our wedding date, her dog's name. Nothing worked. Cliffhanger. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number: "If you want more, look under the spare tire of your Prius." At 2 a.m., the city is a refrigerator. I padded to the garage, lifted the Prius hatch, and pried up the styrofoam tray. Tucked beside the jack was a sealed envelope. Inside, a handwritten note: "You don't know me. I'm not your enemy. Hale ruined my life. He's using your wife as a firewall. She thinks she's in control. She's not. Start with her Notes app. Look for a lock. No signature. No return contact." My mouth tasted like pennies. I went back inside. Emily had rolled over, half whispering in her sleep, "We're okay." I opened her MacBook, which I technically bought, and my passcode still unlocked the home screen. Photos of ultrasound, list of baby names. I clicked Notes. There it was, a locked note titled Atlas. The password prompt stared back. I tried more dates. Nothing. I searched Atlas in my files. A bank portal popped up for Atlas Wellness Foundation. I clicked. The login field was blank, but a saved email address appeared, her maiden name plus a dot and a number I didn't recognize. My heart dropped again. Then the front door clicked. I froze. Emily shuffled into my office, sleep ruffled. "Baby? Why are you up?" I panicked, minimized everything, pulled up a spreadsheet. "Side audits," I lied. She smiled tiredly and sat in my lap, my chest burning with guilt and confusion. "You're going to be a great dad," she whispered. I nodded and swallowed the lump in my throat. When she went back to bed, I ordered a paternity test kit online. I hated myself for it. But the calendar dates wouldn't stop blinking in my head like hazard lights. Cliffhanger: the next morning, before the test even arrived, Emily found an email about the kit in our shared inbox and stared at me with eyes like a shattered glass. "Why would you do this?" Emily held up her phone like it was a bloodied knife. I was halfway through pouring cereal. "Liam, why?" Her voice cracked, but there was a practiced edge in it, like she'd rehearsed this scene 100 times. I started to explain about stress and timelines, about the blue fern carpet I'd recognize in my sleep, but the words curdled on my tongue. I didn't mention the videos. "Not yet." I said, "I'm overwhelmed. My job. The baby." I thought it would calm my head to be sure. She stared so long I thought she'd throw the bowl. Instead, she took a breath. "I get it. Hormones and doubt and everything." She set the phone down. "Okay. Do it. But don't you ever make me feel like a suspect in my own house again." She kissed my cheek, a strange, careful kiss, and said she was going to her prenatal appointment. "Dr. Singh at 10. Want to come?" I lied and said I had a safety briefing. As soon as she left, I pulled the videos onto a spare USB and hid it in the attic. Then I called IT at work, my buddy Kev, and asked if anyone had two-factor codes landing on my number by mistake. "You good, bro?" he said. "You sound like you swallowed a nail." I told him I was fine. When I hung up, a calendar invite popped up on my screen: Executive Reset, Lake House Retreat, this Saturday. I hadn't been invited. My boss's inner circle only. The location was the Pinafel Lake House, company property. I handled its fire inspections. I knew every exit and the private maintenance entrance only staff use. Cliffhanger: I decided right then to go early, under the pretense of checking the HVAC, and leave something listening in the walls. Friday at dusk, I parked behind the boathouse where the cameras didn't reach. My badge still opened the maintenance door. The lake house smelled like cedar, whiskey, and secrets baked into wood grain. I did a quick walk-through like I would on a safety check, eyes up for sprinklers, ears tuned to the throb of the air handler, except this time I was scanning for angles, not hazards. I found the perfect spot, a decorative vent in the living room that faced the couch. Inside the duct, I hid a tiny wireless recorder I'd used for training sessions. It synced to my phone like a charm. On the bar, 2 wine glasses waited, dust-free. In the bedroom, a silk scarf lay crumpled like a shed skin. I found a brass bracelet in the nightstand. My bracelet. A gift I'd given Emily at a flea market 2 summers ago. The inside had our initials stamped crookedly by the vendor. I stared at it so long I forgot to breathe. In a drawer, a Polaroid, half a face, Emily's iris tattoo, a man's shoulder with that familiar ring. My hands shook as I put everything back exactly as I found it. I left the way I came, heart pounding, sweat burning my spine despite the cold. Back in my car, I checked the recorder's live feed. Static, then quiet. Saturday evening, while Emily said she was seeing her friend Harper, I parked a mile away and watched the lake house camera feed. 7:14 p.m., the front door opened. Marcus Hale walked in, loosened his tie, poured whiskey. At 7:28, a car door thumped. He turned, smiling, and held out his arms. Cliffhanger: Emily stepped into frame, and the first thing she said made my vision tunnel. "We need to talk about whose baby this is." I turned up the volume until the recorder crackled. Emily's voice was low, urgent. "Marcus, I can't keep lying to him if there's a chance." He cut her off. "There is no chance, Emily. We timed it. He was out of state on Pier 9 that week." My spine went rigid. I had been at Pier 9, inspecting a scaffolding collapse. "We made a deal," Marcus continued. "You marry him. You stay stable. You keep him tame. After the promotion, we fade." My stomach lurched. Emily paced. "You promised my mother the insurance stuff would be handled." "Insurance?" The unknown PDF title flashed in my mind. Emily's voice cracked. "He ordered a paternity kit." Marcus swore softly. "Of course he did. He's a safety guy. He checks boxes." He poured more whiskey. "If it comes back not his, we say lab error. You cry. We threaten HR with a harassment claim if he keeps controlling behavior." My hand tightened so hard around the phone it hurt. Emily whispered, "And the videos?" Marcus chuckled. "They're leverage. On him. On you. On me. Everyone's dirt keeps everyone quiet." He clinked his glass against hers. "After tonight, no more secrets." My head rang. I watched them settle on the couch where my hidden mic was closest. Marcus's voice softened. "You're doing great. The foundation transfers will go through next week. Your locked node will update automatically." He laughed when she mentioned the iris tattoo. "It photographs well," he said. "On camera. The gall of it, the theater." I backed away from the steering wheel like the car was burning. I had proof. I had motive. I had names. Cliffhanger, then Marcus said, almost absent-mindedly, "Delete the wedding clip from the Blue Fern Drive after the gala, would you?" And I realized someone inside their circle was feeding me, too. I texted the unknown number that had sent me to the spare tire, a shot in the dark. "Who are you?" An hour later, a reply, "Meet where you got engaged. Noon tomorrow. Come alone. The old iron footbridge over Mill Creek. Windy, rust streaks like old tears down the lattice." When I got there, a woman in a pea coat leaned against the railing, hair pulled into a severe bun. She watched me with a look that said she was done being afraid. "I'm Nora," she said. "Marcus's ex. And his current executive assistant, technically. I'm not proud of that." She exhaled. "He used me. Then he replaced me. Now he treats me like a filing cabinet with legs." She tapped the rail. "He thinks everyone is a drawer he can pull out." Nora told me she'd copied the hotel footage after seeing Emily's name in a list marked leverage. She'd tried to warn another woman once and got sued for defamation. This time she wanted a cleaner burn. "You're careful," she said. "You're not a screamer. You're a planner. So plan." I asked why now. She looked past me at the water. "Because your wife is not the only one. And because he's about to announce a family values initiative at the Winter Gala. It'll make me sick if there isn't a counterpoint." She handed me another envelope. Inside, there were spreadsheets, foundation transfers, shell companies, Atlas Wellness payments to Emily's maiden name account. My head roared. "Do you want to ruin him?" she asked. "Or do you want the truth out where it sticks?" I said both. She nodded. "Then do it publicly. And tie it to something he can't spin." Cliffhanger. That night, Emily came home glowing and said, "Marcus asked me to help present a special surprise at the gala, a vow renewal on stage." I met a lawyer the next morning, a woman named Priya who didn't flinch when I said recordings and shell companies. She told me to stop talking to my wife about anything legal, to keep gathering, and to never, ever touch her medical decisions. "If the baby is yours, you'll want clean hands," she said. "If it's not, you'll still want clean hands." She asked if I wanted to ambush Emily. The word felt wrong in my mouth. I didn't want to hurt her more than the truth already would. I wanted to stop the lie from eating everything. Priya suggested something brutal in its simplicity: if they want a vow renewal, let them hand you a microphone. And then we script a reveal that sticks to facts. No name-calling. No profanity. Let the evidence do the talking, she said. Also, quietly do the paternity test as soon as the kid arrives. Chain of custody matters. I nodded, my stomach twisting. At home, Emily was trying on a white satin dress. "It's not a wedding dress," she giggled. "It's just festive." I kept my face still. She brushed my lapel. "You'll stand there and say yes again?" I heard myself say, "Of course." That night, I packaged my swab, following instructions like a man defusing a bomb. I labeled it. I taped it. I drove it to a Dropbox. When I came back, Emily was asleep with a half-written speech on her chest. "Family as a verb," she typed. My throat closed. I started building the slideshow, each image a nail. No accusations, just dates, documents, and that ring. Cliffhanger. 2 days later, the lab emailed, "Results ready." And Emily asked, at the exact same moment, "Promise me you'll say yes in front of everyone?" I didn't open the results. Not yet. I printed them and slid the envelope into the inside pocket of my suit jacket like a talisman and a curse. I needed the reveal to be clean. Meanwhile, I found a sonogram in our junk drawer that puzzled me. The gestational age said 10 weeks on a date that was 12 weeks after my return from a week-long out-of-state audit. My mind clawed for explanations, variations in measurements, irregular cycles, anything that didn't end with me being a placeholder. Nora texted, "IT guy on our side. Programmed a timed switch on the Gala Media laptop. Plug in your drive, it will autoplay at your cue." I sent back a thumbs up and immediately felt weird about how casual the little hand looked, floating over a minefield. At work, the crew at Pier 9 kept asking if the review report was finalized. The scaffolding collapse had been brutal, a lucky miracle nobody died. I'd signed off on the corrected safety plan after Marcus told me legal had reviewed it. Now, with everything I'd learned, legal looked like a mask. I pulled my copy. Some pages looked off, like someone had swapped them after my signature. My skin went cold. That night, Emily and I folded tiny onesies in the laundry room. "He kicked," she said, guiding my palm to her belly. I felt a roller against my hand and had to bite my lip not to cry. "We're going to be okay," she whispered. I told myself the truth sets you free. I didn't realize it also breaks every lock on your life all at once. Cliffhanger: the morning of the gala, I found a note on my windshield, "Open the envelope on stage. Or Pier 9 comes back to haunt you." The Winter Gala always tries to feel like old money, strings, sculpted ice, men in tuxes slapping each other's shoulders like victory is a person you can pat. Emily wore that satin dress, a thin cardigan, and a smile as bright as a set light. Marcus shook my hand for too long. "Liam," he said warmly. "We appreciate your leadership at Pier 9. He stared a second too long, like he was scanning for loose threads. Nora met my eyes from the AV booth and scratched her ear. The signal. The board chair took the stage and droned about excellence. Then came the family values segment. Marcus invited us up, microphone in hand. "This couple embodies our spirit," he said. "They've chosen to renew their vows in front of the people who know them best." He handed me the mic. I looked at Emily. In that moment, I wanted to run. But I thought about the note. About truth. About all the men and women Marcus had catalogued like inventory. "Before I say yes again," I began, "I think you deserve to know what family has meant here." I clicked the remote. The screen behind us blinked to the hallway of the Blue Fern. A hush sucked the air out of the room. A few chairs scraped as people stood. I didn't narrate. I just let it play, the ring, the timestamp, the laugh that made me want to crawl out of my skin. Then receipts, Atlas Wellness transfers, dates, names. My slide deck ended with a single question: what is a vow worth if it's built on a lie? I turned to Emily. "Do you still want to do this?" Cliffhanger. Before she could answer, the screen flickered again. Someone had yanked the HDMI, and security started toward me as Marcus smiled like a shark and stepped forward with a hand raised to calm the room. Security stopped when the board chair barked, "Let him finish," but the screen was dead. Marcus put on his gravest face. "We should be careful about doctored videos and disgruntled employees." He gestured at me as if comforting a child. "Liam, we have resources for you. We can." A voice from the back cut him off. I shot the video. Nora walked down the aisle, eyes on fire, holding a small camera. "This is the original. Timestamp intact. The hotel subpoena will match it." Marcus's mask twitched. He made a mistake. He turned his head toward his wife instinctively, and she read everything in that tiny movement. Her mouth opened, closed, then became a straight line of war. The room became a jury. Emily clutched my sleeve. "Please," she whispered. "We can talk later." I felt something like sympathy try to kick in. Then I felt the envelope against my ribs. I pulled the paternity results from my jacket and held them up. "I didn't open this yet," I said. "Because I wanted the truth to stand on its own." I faced the crowd. "But since we're all here, since our company wants to talk about family, maybe we should start with who is who." I looked at Emily again. "Do you want me to open this now?" Her lips trembled. "Liam, please." She reached for my hand. I slid a finger under the flap and tore. Cliffhanger. The page crackled as I unfolded it, and before I could read, Marcus's wife shouted from the front row, "Open it, or I will." The words swam at first, then snapped into focus. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. I thought I'd collapse, but I didn't. I felt steady. Like a storm had already blown through and the air was weirdly clean. The whisper rolled across the room, a physical thing. Marcus's wife stood, the slap she gave him echoed like a dropped tray. "You humiliated me," she hissed. Board members stared at each other like their suits were suddenly itchy. Emily crumpled. "It's not what you think," she sobbed, absurd words in an absurd moment. "We were scared. She pointed at Marcus. "He said he'd fix the Pier 9 report. He said if we married now, it would shield us." "Shield us from what?" My stomach flipped. The board chair cleared his throat. "Mr. Hale, please step back." HR people multiplied. Security hovered. Nora handed the camera to a man with a press badge I hadn't noticed before. Quietly, she put her hand on my arm. "Breathe." My phone buzzed. A blocked number. "If you don't stop, The Pier 9 accident becomes your fault. Enjoy unemployment. I looked at Marcus. He was already recalculating. He didn't need the company to survive. He needed the story to die. People were crying, talking, videoing. It felt obscene. I turned back to the mic. I'm done, I said. With this company, with this lie, with this stage. I took Emily's hand, gently removed my wedding band, and placed it in her palm. Take care of yourself. And take responsibility. I walked off to a chorus of gasps. Cliffhanger. As the door swung behind me, a uniformed officer stepped into my path and said, "Mr. Reed? We need to talk about Pier 9. At the precinct, an investigator named Ortega laid out photos from Pier 9, twisted metal, a cracked ledger, my signature on a page that didn't match the original formatting. "Someone altered these after you signed," he said. "We've been hearing rumors." He didn't say Nora's name, but I felt her hand in this. "Do you want to cooperate?" he asked. "Because Mr. Hale is saying you pushed the approval through to keep your numbers clean," I laughed, a ragged bark. "I have a recorder," I said. "And a lot of late nights." Priya joined us, eyes sharp. She suggested a controlled meet with Marcus. Get him on tape admitting he swapped pages, and that he paid hush money through the foundation. "We'll protect you." I didn't feel protected, but I felt like doing nothing would swallow me whole. So we did it in a coffee shop where the grinder noise covered nerves. I told Marcus I wanted this to go away for Emily's sake, that I'd keep quiet if Pier 9 didn't land on me. He relaxed like a man rolling into a hot bath. "Of course," he said. He spelled out the scheme like he was placing an Amazon order, who printed what, which paralegal swapped the pages, which shell paid Emily. When I stepped outside, Ortega's team was already in place. Sirens bloomed. Marcus didn't run at first. Then he saw Nora at the edge of the lot, arms crossed, and his brain finally understood the net. He bolted. They took him down clean. I went home to an apartment that felt like a museum of a life. Emily's toothbrush, her sweater, her folded speech about family. I sat on the floor and finally let myself sob. Cliffhanger. Around midnight, my phone lit up with my mother-in-law's name, and when I answered, she whispered, "Liam, you don't know the half of it." Her mother, Denise, sounded older than last week. "I'm not excusing Emily," she said, "but I need you to know something. Marcus started hovering when Emily was 19. He funded a scholarship. He pushed her toward mentors. He called me when she got engaged to you and said he'd make sure you were supported if she played ball." My head spun. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. Denise broke. "Because I thought it was opportunity. Because I was stupid. Because he helped with my medical bills. He is a spider." I closed my eyes. Compassion fought with fury. "Emily made her choices," I said, "but he built the room she made them in." Denise sniffed. "That room is on fire now." 2 days later, HR suspended Marcus pending investigation. The board hired an outside firm. Reporters called. Nora went on the record. Emily moved in with her mother. She texted me long, spiraling apologies, then angry bursts, then silence. Was I wrong for what I did? I asked myself in the mirror some nights. Who do you think is the real villain here? The answers changed every hour. I started therapy. I walked by the river. I fixed a neighbor's porch light because he didn't know how and because I needed to use my hands. The world kept spinning. People at work avoided my eyes, then leaned in with whispered respect. A crane operator hugged me. "You made it safer," he said. That almost undid me. At dusk, I got a court notice. Emily was contesting the paternity result, citing possible lab error. A new test, supervised, was scheduled. Part of me hoped for a miracle my brain knew wasn't coming. Cliffhanger. The morning of the second test, as I left the clinic, an envelope slid under my windshield wiper, this one with a thumb drive and a single line, "Her Plan B." I watched the thumb drive in my kitchen like it might bite. When I finally opened it, there was one audio file. Emily's voice, recorded in our living room weeks ago, practicing a speech I'd never heard her give. "If the test says 0 again, I'll say Liam abused me. People will believe a crying woman. I don't want to do it, but I don't know what else to do." A pause. Then another voice, Harper's. "Don't, Em. That's not a fix. That's napalm." Silence, then Emily again. Smaller. "I know." The file ended. The supervised test came back, 0.00%. The air felt clearer, sadder, simpler. I sent the audio to my lawyer and deleted my copy. I wasn't going to scorch the earth more than it already was. I asked the court for a clean break, no spousal support, no claims. I mailed Emily a letter that said, "We were honest once, a long time ago. Maybe be that again someday, with yourself." I didn't go to the birth. That wasn't my story to stand in. I left a teddy bear at her mother's porch with a note that said, "May he or she never learn to lie to survive." Months passed. Marcus was indicted. Our company crawled through the glass of reform. Nora left to start a watchdog nonprofit. I rebuilt. New apartment. New routines. I still check doors twice. I still jump when my phone buzzes late. But the quiet is mine now. If there's a moral, it's this: secrets aren't buried, they're backordered. They arrive when you least want them. Tell the truth early, or the truth will tell you. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and stay tuned for the next drama.